got myself and Robbie reacting to the Champions League knockout phase playoff draw, right? How are we, fella? You well?
I don't normally do these draws, you know what I mean? We come in the top 8.
Oh, it's nice, isn't it?
Came in the top 8, didn't we?
Yeah, well, I came in the top 1. Where were you?
So here he goes. We come third.
Okay, that's still good.
You
still,
lost
still
one
in
game.
The hat.
You lost one game, we lost one game.
Okay, well, the table doesn't reflect that quite as much. But let me give you the draw that happened today, put emphasis on the English teams, and then we possibly try and come up with the route of death, right? Who's actually going to be predicted to go through these games and then quarter semis, etc. So, Brest, right, one of my favourite teams this year for sure, are playing PSG, a French face-off there.
Yeah.
Club Brugge, Atalanta, no mugs, as we know, current Europa League holders there as well. But Manchester City, right, the current champions of England, go up against the current champions of Spain again in this competition. As an Arsenal fan, and I say as a Liverpool fan, I'm buzzing with this draw because at least one of them's going out.
Yeah, and listen, number one, I was buzzing because, you know, as an Arsenal fan and City are your rivals now, you know what I mean? You want them to have a hard game, right? And then, like you said, one of those two big teams, I mean, you know, Real Madrid won it last year, City won it the year before. One of them are not winning it this year. One of them are definitely going out. So that's going to be a massive, massive game, you know, playoff game. And you really can't call who's going to win that. I mean, at the moment, you've got to say Real Madrid are the favourites. And the fact that the second leg is going to be at the Bernabeu, I think that's huge.
Tough.
You know, that's the thing, like, with the fact of how low City finished, they weren't seeded. They weren't, you know, the teams that's above them are seeded higher than them. And that's why they've got to play that second leg at the Bernabeu. Yeah. And I just think that's going to be, the way City have been playing, listen, they've got a chance with their firepower and everything, but that's a tough ask. Yeah,
Madrid, since they played Liverpool at Anfield, have actually picked up form quite a lot.
Yeah, they have. They're at the top of the league and La Liga as well. Mbappe's been playing really well. You know what I mean? There's a lot of their players starting to hit form now. They do this a lot, Madrid. They, you know what I mean? They peak later on. So does City, to be fair. But this is going to be some game.
That's why it's going to be some game. And these teams have played each other so much in the Champions League recently.
I'm not sure I'd have to check this, but no, actually, Mamouche and that, they won't be available for that game, innit? They'd only be available after the knockouts, I'm sure of that.
Okay. So that's the biggest draw. It actually reminds me of when United played Barca in the round of 32 in the Europa League.
Yeah.
One of them's got to go. Juventus versus PSV Eindhoven. Obviously, we've just played them and lost to them. Monaco play Benfica. Sporting Lisbon and Dortmund. That'll be a good game. Celtic and Bayern Munich. Right? Harry Kane's chance to actually try and win a trophy is probably a little bit easier with that draw. But I'll tell you what, Celtic Park away in Europe.
Yep.
I know it's the first leg, but
they'll give up a big fight, but then going to a second leg, you've got to go to the Allianz Arena.
You know how that ends up, don't you?
Yeah, it's a tough ask.
Feyenoord also play AC Milan as well, and that's the draw today. I have to big up Thiago Alcantara, because he was the one picking the names out of the hat. Former Liverpool player. Brings out Madrid versus City, so we love that. Well in, Thiago, my boy. Right, let's look at the potential routes to the semi-final, the final, etc. As I said, Brest and Paris play.
Tough game for PSG. They wouldn't have wanted another French side.
That adds a bit of an edge to it.
Of course.
Not a walkover, that one.
It does.
Because same country, it's always going to be more difficult.
Yeah, I mean, they'll win it, but it's not easy.
And then the winner of that, and then the winner of Monaco and Benfica, there'll be another draw after this round of 16 playoff.
That's right.
And then the winners of those will play either Liverpool, Barcelona, and then that could throw up another classic as well with the big teams there. So there's a potential.
Liverpool could get PSG.
Of course, there's a potential for Liverpool to get PSG because we think they're going to beat Brest.
Yep.
Out of Monaco and Benfica, I'd edge it to Benfica.
Ooh, it's close. It's close. Monaco have been playing well this year.
They have. They got Minamino. Obviously, Henderson might end up there, even though he apparently might stay now.
And listen, you'd hope Liverpool. If you're a Liverpool fan, you're hoping that it's not going to be PSG, innit?
Yeah.
You don't want PSG.
I mean, we've beaten them in fairly recent times.
I think Liverpool would have too much for PSG, but
you don't want them.
They've picked up form. You saw what they did, you know, against City.
Yeah, that's true.
So you want to avoid the hardest teams. So I think out of those four, you'd want to avoid those two. It would boil down to you'd want to avoid.
So it'd be PSG and, in my opinion, Benfica in the hat.
Yeah.
Obviously, Liverpool would prefer Benfica probably. in the quarterfinals, and then the semi-final, it could be either Club Brugge, Atalanta, Lille, Aston Villa, Sporting or Dortmund for Liverpool. And I'm not going to lie, that's a favourable side of the draw. And if you win your games, you find a decent, fairly easy route into the semi-final, potentially.
Liverpool come top, so...
The other side of the draw, as we said, Man City play Real Madrid. On the other side, it's Celtic and Bayern Munich looking to play the Leverkusen or Atletico Madrid in the round of 16. Let's say, for instance, Real Madrid get through that one. We could see a Madrid quarter-final. And we know how that one goes as well in the Champions League. Atletico have been so close in the past.
Tough route, those teams, Real Madrid and Manchester City have made it, it's not that they can't navigate that, but they've made it really tough for themselves going forward. That's why coming in that top 8 was so important for my club, Arsenal. Yeah,
and the 5th and 6th seeded teams, Atletico and Leverkusen, I know they're not playing, they're waiting to see who they're going to be playing, but that would be a great game as well. I think they can only play each other at the semi-final stage. So let's say Bayern Munich beat Celtic over 2 legs.
They should do.
They could come up against Leverkusen. What a game that would be. Der Klassiker?
Yeah, that'd be a big game, that would be.
And then it could be either Atletico versus one of those teams as well. So that's an interesting side of the draw.
Atletico definitely dark horses to win this tournament as well.
The way they've been playing, they haven't been conceding a lot of goals. I watched their highlights the other night. Alvarez on fire, Griezmann still churning out performance after performance at such a good age, well into his 30s. Juventus and PSV.
Right, this is the Arsenal side of it.
Arsenal and Inter Milan already in the hat. So Juventus or PSV, I'm going to edge it to Juventus if they win that game. So Arsenal could.
I think PSV have been playing well.
Actually,
they're top of the Dutch league. I don't think that's a given for Juventus. They've been a bit hot and cold. Juventus.
I mean, this season.
You think Juventus would win that, but I think the second leg's in Eindhoven as well. So
correct.
I'm not sure if PSV are going to be. I'm sorry, I'm not sure if Juventus will get through. They should do, based off of the size of club and what the players they've got, but don't write off PSV in that at all.
As an Arsenal fan, who are the 2 teams that you'd like in the pot? It could be Juventus, PSV,
or AC Milan, or
Feyenoord or Milan, but that will go to 2 and then you draw against 2. Who would you prefer those 2 to be? Feyenoord, Arne Slot's former team.
Feyenoord, man. Feyenoord's a team that every Arsenal fan would like, but in reality, it's going to be, I feel AC Milan will beat Feyenoord. So it's either going to be AC Milan or probably Juventus. One of them 2 big Italian
giant Italian teams there. And then I think because you're in the hat with Inter in this side of it, I think the only time you could play them is in the semi-final. So you could potentially be playing
loads of Italian teams all
a lot of trips to
Italy.
Mate.
And funny enough, even in the groups, in the sort of knockout group stage, in the group stage. League stage? I don't even know what to call it nowadays.
Group league phase.
Group league phase.
League phase.
Yeah, we've already had to play 2 Italian teams because we had to play Atalanta and we had to play Inter Milan. So, you might as well stay in Italy, man.
For a month. AFTV Italia.
And all teams in Northern Italy as well. I may as well just base myself in Milan or something.
Listen, that's not even the worst shout, You'd have a great time.
Base myself in Bergamo.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
So if Arsenal did face let's say a Milan, you got through that one, you could again be playing some. I mean, when you get to the quarterfinal of this competition, with all due respect, it's big teams, and to win this competition, which you don't know about, in all fairness, you do have to play the top teams in Europe.
You do. I mean, when we lost the final, we was Barcelona in the final. So, you do have to play the top teams. There's no point in thinking...
Apart from when we played Tottenham in the final.
Yeah, true. You had an easy final. But
who were you supporting that night?
Who do you think? My red and white scarf on. Converted it.
Good lad.
Took the AFC off of it and just made it put an L. But no, listen...
Scousers will love that.
Listen, I was back in Liverpool all the way then. It's going to be tough for Arsenal, but the one thing, by coming in that top 8,
helps.
That means, because it means that the second leg against any of those teams, whether it be AC Milan, whether it be PSV or Juventus, because I think it's one of them 3, that second leg at the Emirates is so important, playing that second leg there. Because I think over the past few years, every time we've had these 2-legged things, most of the times it's worked out that we haven't got the second leg at home. But in this case, we would, so that would be significant.
Yeah, Anfield as a second leg is always the priority for Liverpool fans.
You guys
whatever happens in that. I mean, look at Tottenham. You know, we've got to bring them back to Anfield on Thursday to
it's a big advantage,
that.
Massive advantage, I think.
So the questions to you, I mean, look, if you are a Liverpool or Arsenal fan, this hasn't really affected you that much because there still is another draw to be made. But if you're a Man City fan, how are you feeling about playing the reigning champions?
Worst possible draw they could have got.
For them,
and they
but
got
the best for us.
And I was looking at their fixtures, right? This is where it really gets techie for them as well. Looking at their fixtures they got in February, because these are 2 extra games as well. This is what his Champions League has done this year. 2 extra games in January, right? In the case of Man City, pressure games, because they had to play PSG, they lost that. Then they had a do-or-die game against Club Brugge, which they won. Now in February, they've got a playoff against Real Madrid, 2 legs. In between that, they've got to play Liverpool. They've got who's the other team? They've got another big game. Newcastle, right? I mean, it's a really tough month if you're a Man City fan. It really is. And they got the old outcome of the charges lingering around.
What happens with that?
I think that comes up at the end. Is it in March or something like that?
It would be great if it happens the day before we play them.
It's going to be a really tough month for tough and stressful month for Man City, but they do have the tools to get through it.
I wouldn't feel too sorry for them, Rob. I'm sure.
No, they've got the tools to get through it.
Nothing a quick.
One thing about Man City, second half of the season is normally when they really hit their straps, so they're going to have to this year.
Right. The only thing that remains now, Rob, you know what's coming.
Who's going to win it?
Who's going to win it?
It's still too early, man, to predict.
I don't know. We've seen the potential routes of death.
I don't think you can make Real Madrid favourites. The fact that they've got a 2-legged game against City, they could go out.
So who's the favourite then, Rob?
It's got to be you lot. Liverpool. No, I'm
I've already booked Munich.
No, look, he's already booked in Munich. It doesn't mean
Liverpool fans,
favourites doesn't mean you're going to win it.
100%, but you
favourites
can book
doesn't mean you're going to win it.
Free cancellation, mate.
Yeah?
Booking.com.
Because when you won it that year, you weren't favourites, were you?
Against,
most of the years favourites.
Against Tottenham.
No, at the start of the earlier on in the tournament, you weren't favourites.
Of course not. But we've shown after 8 games we're the top team in Europe according to this table.
Yeah. And
I would agree. I think Liverpool.
I think you're favourites to win it right now. Liverpool definitely favourites. Barcelona second favourites, I'd say.
Do you know
who's third favourites?
I interviewed Joe Cole last week for DR. You would have seen it, pulling pints with the big man. And he said the favourites for the Champions League, Liverpool and Arsenal. He had them.
I'm not sure if Arsenal are favourites because if, and at the time of doing this video, obviously the transfer window hasn't closed yet, but if we don't get a sort of top striker in, I can't see us winning it. I'm just being honest. So I think, to me, Liverpool are favourites. I would put Real Madrid in there, but because of the tricky game they got, you've got to put Barcelona in there as well. They've been playing really well.
Fantastic.
They probably be. I think my joint second favourites at this moment in time, of them,
Liverpool
first, Barcelona and Atletico Madrid.
Ooh.
Atletico Madrid, they look a dangerous side. Nobody's going to want to play them. Nobody.
Tell you what, Arsenal Atletico at some point would be some watch.
I don't want that.
It'd be 0-0 across 2 legs, penalty shootout. No away
goals. I know, we're kind of very Atletico Madrid in the way we play these days, you know what I mean? So,
look what happens to them. They always finish second or third as well.
Yeah, and that's what's been happening to us.
Yeah. Right, Rob,
that's because we ain't got a striker and we've got to get that striker.
You have to, you do. Go and get one now. Straight after this.
Hopefully.
There's still time. We can do it. Believe. Right, we've given you our opinions. Who do you think is now the favourite to win this year's Champions League? The final is in Munich, as we know. May the best team win. That's what it's about in Europe. Rob, good luck for the rest of the season, apart from May the 10th when you come to Anfield. And that could be the day we win the Prem. Take care, lads. All the best.